Recognizes the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Jackson Lee, for 5 minutes.
Chairman, thank you so very much. Many Americans have come to trust Hillary Clinton as a dedicated, committed public servant. But I believe it's important as we address these questions. Let me make 1 or 2 points. My colleagues have already made it, and I look forward maybe to coming back to Washington to dealing with the potential Russian intrusion on the election system. I'm not asking you, Director, at this time. And also the issue of connecting the dots as we deal with terrorism across America. But I do want to acknowledge Eric Williams, an outstanding detailee to this Judiciary Committee. Thank him for his service. And I want to thank the SAC in Houston, Mr. Turner, for helping us in the shooting that occurred in Houston, as you well know, that gave us a great deal of fear and scare just a couple of days ago. But Director Comey, my Republican colleagues have questioned, second-guessed, and attacked you and your team of career FBI agents. They disagree with the results of your investigation. They want you to prosecute or to have the DOJ to prosecute Secretary Clinton regardless of the facts. So they've engaged in an almost daily ritual of holding hearings, desperately trying to tear down your investigation and your recommendation. I believe you testified previously that your recommendation in that case was unanimous, and your investigation was carried out by what you called an all-star team of career agents and prosecutors. Is that right?
Yes, these were some of our very best. And sometimes because I'm lucky enough to be the person who represents the FBI, people think it's my conclusion. Sure, it's my conclusion, but I'm reporting what the team thought and their supervisors. As I said, this was, as painful as it is for people sometimes, this was not a close call.
Let me continue. You have written that the case itself was not a cliffhanger. Is that right?
Correct.
Recently, Republicans have attacked the decision to provide limited immunity to individuals during the investigation. For example, when Congressman Chavez learned about this, he stated, and I quote, "No wonder they couldn't prosecute a case. They were handing out immunity deals like candy." I understand that the FBI does not make the final call on immunity agreements. That was the DOJ. You made that clear. So his statement was just wrong. But did you consult closely with DOJ before these immunity agreements were concluded by having facts?
Right. Our job is to tell them what facts we'd like to get access to. The prosecutor's job is to figure out how to do that. And so they negotiate. I think there were 5 limited immunity agreements of different kinds that they negotiated.
Did you or anyone at the FBI ever object to these decisions to grant immunity? Did you think they made sense?
No, it was fairly ordinary stuff.
Was the FBI or DOJ handing out immunity agreements like candy?
That's not how I saw it and see it.
Congressman Gowdy, a good friend, also objected to granting immunity to Brian Pagliano and Mr. Combetta at Platte River Networks. He quoted, "These are the 2 people that FBI decides to give immunity to, Brian and the guy at Platte River, if it happened. Those are the 2 that you would want to prosecute, so you're giving immunity to the trigger people, and everybody goes free." Do you agree with this assessment? Did the FBI screw up here and let everyone go free because of these limited immunity deals?
No, I don't think so. The goal in an investigation like this is to work up. And if people have information that their lawyers are telling you that you're not going to get without some limited form of immunity, and they're lower down, you try to get that information to see if you can make a case against your subjects.
Congressman Gowdy also said this about the FBI, and I quote, "I've been underwhelmed by an agency that I once had tremendous respect for." Let me just say, sitting on this Judiciary Committee for many, many years, going through a number of investigations, I've never been proud of an agency that has always been there when vulnerable people are hurting and when there is a need for great work. But my question to you is, what is your response to that, Director Comey? Do you believe these criticisms are fair?
I think questions are fair. I think criticism is healthy and fair. I think reasonable people can disagree about whether I should have announced it and how I should have done it. What's not fair is any implication that the Bureau acted in any way other than independently, competently, and honestly here. That's just not true. I knew this was going to be controversial. I knew there'd be all kinds of rocks thrown. But this organization and the people who did this are honest, independent people. We do not carry water for one side or the other. That's hard for people to see because so much of our country we see things through sides. We are not on anybody's side. This was done exactly the way you would want it to be done. That said, questions are fair. Feedback is fair.
Absolutely. But the foot soldiers, we use that term in the Civil Rights Movement, your agents on the ground, you take issue with whether or not they were compromised or they were adhering to somebody else's message. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. You can call us wrong, But don't call us weasels. We are not weasels. We are honest people, and we did this in that way. Whether you disagree or agree with the result, this was done the way you would want it to be done.
You were able to learn that Mr. Pagliano and Mr. Gambetta, you learned what they had to say. And if anyone who provided statements to the FBI had actually provided evidence that Secretary Clinton had committed a crime, would you then have recommended prosecution to the DOJ?
Oh, yeah. If the case was there, very aggressively.
You sure you wouldn't have been a little nervous about doing so, a little intimidated?
No, I really don't care.
You don't look like it. You're kind of tall, and that's...
I have a 10-year term. That's the beauty of this. Well, there's a lot of challenging things about this job. One of the great things is I have a certain amount of job security. And so, no, either way, we would have done what the facts told us should be done.
So are you now second-guessing your decision regarding Hillary Clinton?
No.
Let me just say in conclusion,
the time of the gentleman has expired.
Mr. Chairman, I want to thank the director and ask my colleagues to give the respect that this agency in this instance deserves. Thank you so very much for your service. I yield back.